With Caitlin Clark out of the WNBA All-Star game, the focus shifted to the rest of the players. This was their moment to prove they could earn the spotlight. And the big salaries they've been asking for, they played hard, no question, but the bigger statement came from the fans, and it wasn't what the league was hoping for. The viewership numbers are out, and once again, ESPN doesn't seem too eager to talk about them. It looks like they're doing what they've done before, trying to shield the league and its top players from the full story.
It's fine to just say, just post the ratings. But, like, it is another situation than pretending like Caitlin Clark doesn't exist.
It's with Caitlin Clark out of the WNBA All-Star game. The focus shifted to the rest of the players. This was their moment to prove they could earn the spotlight and the big salaries they've been asking for. They played hard, no question. But the bigger statement came from the fans. And it wasn't what the league was hoping for. The viewership numbers are out, and once again, ESPN doesn't seem too eager to talk about them. It looks like they're doing what they've done before, trying to shield the league and its top players from the full story. So why did ESPN skip over the 2024 draft in their comparisons? It's pretty clear 2024 was Caitlin Clark's draft, which drew a massive 2.45 million viewers. If they compared 2025 to that, the real headline would have been a 49% drop. But that's not the story ESPN wanted to tell, and this isn't a one-time slip. They pulled the same move during the 2025 NCAA March Madness. In the early rounds, the second round, Sweet 16, and Elite 8, they compared numbers to 2023, which seemed fine since Caitlin played that year. But when it came to the Final Four and title game, the comparison suddenly stopped. Instead, they called it the third highest ever, which sounds impressive, until you realize the top 2 years were 2023 and 2024, both led by Caitlin. If they'd shown the full picture, they'd have to admit viewership dropped by over 10 million. So yes, ESPN will highlight the numbers when they beat Caitlin's, but when they don't, silence. That's not an oversight, that's a choice. And the funny thing is, they think fans won't catch on. They're banking on big, flashy stats to sell the idea that women's basketball is thriving even without Caitlin Clark. The truth is, ESPN is only making things more obvious. It's the classic Streisand effect. When you try to hide something, you end up drawing even more attention to it, and that's exactly what's happening here. Caitlin Clark's fans notice the spin, the cherry-pick stats, the silence when numbers don't fit, and they call it out every time. All it really does is prove one thing: Caitlin is the driving force behind the league's growth. And clearly, some people don't want that acknowledged, but it's not just ESPN. This mindset runs across the WNBA landscape, from the league itself to the media, and even some players. Every time someone tries to downplay Caitlin's impact, it doesn't hurt her, it just shows their own insecurity. At this point, it's almost laughable. When she won Athlete of the Year, the backlash wasn't about whether she deserved it. It was about the idea that every WNBA player should have been on the cover. Funny how that standard never shows up when it's A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, or Nafisa Collier being celebrated. And it didn't stop there. Even when Caitlin won an ESPY, her own coach couldn't congratulate her publicly without quickly shifting credit to the rest of the league.
Or heard about it, but during the game, Caitlin got honored as the WNBA Player of the Year in the ESPYs. Just what does it mean to have her impact so far? I mean, there are a lot of really good players in this league, and she got honored as the best player in the league by the ESPYs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she continues to get new awards. She continues to break barriers. She continues to do things that we haven't seen before. I mean, you know, obviously you think about the Stewie's MVPs of the league, and you know, championship winners, and Asia's MVPs of the league and championship winners, and of course Sue Bird, who was sitting, you know, in the building today. And you know, Caitlin is so fortunate, as well as all these guys, really. I mean, that they don't know anything any different than the W.
How fragile the environment around her has become, even giving her credit feels like a calculated decision. And when the media does acknowledge Caitlin's popularity, it's rarely treated as something she earned. You almost never hear about her talent, work ethic, or the genuine connection she's built with fans. Instead, her success is framed as part of some larger moment, like she's just riding a wave rather than being the reason it exists in the first place.
Just said, we would not be talking about Caitlin Clark the way that we do if it wasn't for that moment with Angel Reese. And I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
I was with you until that.
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
They always find a way to credit something else, a rivalry, A headline, a viral moment, anything but. Caitlyn herself. It's like they'll recognize the attention she brings, but not the person responsible for it. And when they do admit she has millions of fans, it's not seen as a win, it's treated like a problem, as if her supporters are something to manage or control, rather than celebrate.
The new fans are sucking life out of the WNBA right now.
We'll start with you, Kels, because Lord Jesus, your team and their fans,
Jesus,
they be getting up in everybody's business.
I think so many fans, feel they have the freedom to say whatever they want to us, and unfortunately, there's a lot of nasty things that come with it. They don't have people coming to their job saying these nasty things. So, we definitely have to protect the players.
And then things take a turn. Suddenly, Caitlyn Clark's fans aren't just seen as passionate, they're being labeled as toxic, hateful, or even racist. Some claim they don't support Paige Bueckers because of her advocacy, or that Caitlyn should have picked Angel Reese in the All-Star draft just to keep her fan base in check. Even the Phoenix Mercury chimed in, suggesting Indianapolis might not be a safe place for players. It's a strange dynamic. The very people downplaying Caitlyn's impact are now turning on the fans who helped fuel the league's growth. And they know it, but instead of acknowledging what's really happening, they hold on tightly to their pride and position. The irony is, the second Caitlyn's fans stop watching, that power vanishes. Right now, players are in the middle of tense CBA negotiations, hoping to cash in on a major media rights deal. But let's be real, that momentum is being driven almost entirely by Caitlyn Clark. Behind closed doors, even the team owners get it. They see what happens when she's not on the court. Tradings and ticket prices don't just dip, they drop by 50% or more. That kind of dependence on a single player, it's unheard of in any other major sport.
I can't imagine, folks, you know how many NBA players can get injured? And the prices would never drop to this low. LeBron James can be injured, Steph Curry could be injured, Kevin Durant could be in, and the prices still will not drop to be this low. $75? Folks, I'm sure there's some high school football teams down in Texas that charge you at least $75 to get to a home.
When Caitlyn Clark was ruled out of the All-Star game, it put the players in a tough position. This was supposed to be one of the league's biggest moments, a chance to shine on a national stage, but without Caitlyn, there was no guaranteed ratings boost, just the players and a test to see if they could carry the moment on their own. And almost immediately, things started to slide. Ticket prices dropped 48% as soon as the news broke, raising a serious question: just how bad would it get? Could the league hold strong without her? Or would this expose how deep the dependence on Caitlyn really runs? Well, the ratings are in, and ESPN is already scrambling to spin the story.
Point contest. ESPN, ABC, and Disney score the historic viewership for the 2025 WNBA All-Star events. Friday, July 18th, ESPN airs the most watched WNBA skills and three-point contest ever, averaging 1.3 million viewers, which is up 89% versus last year's WNBA skills and three-point contest.
This weekend actually started on a high note. The skills challenge and three-point contest saw a strong jump in viewership compared to 2024. A positive sign for the league. For a moment, it looked like the players might pull it off. Maybe they could draw big numbers even without Caitlyn Clark on the court. But just as things were looking hopeful, ESPN went straight back to their usual tactics.
All-Star game ratings from this past weekend was the second most watched WNBA All-Star game ever, behind 2024. No surprise there. The 2025 WNBA All-Star game was the most watched program of the night across all of TV. The night, not the day. With 2.2 million average viewers, up 158% from the 2023 WNBA.
So did you catch it? ESPN compared this year's All-Star Game ratings to 2023, the year before. Caitlyn Clark even joined the league, yet, just a few lines earlier, in the same post, they used 2024 as the comparison for the skills competition. So why the switch? It's pretty obvious. Last year's All-Star Game, with Caitlyn, pulled in 3.4 million viewers. This year, only to 0.2 million. That's a 36% drop, 1.2 million fewer viewers. And instead of owning that, they buried it. It's like saying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the NBA's all-time leading scorer, but quietly adding, except for LeBron. It's a deliberate strategy to make the numbers sound great without giving you the full picture. Most people are busy they see a point to million viewers, up 158%, and assume the league is exploding. They're not digging deeper. ESPN knows that, so sure. The numbers are technically true, but the way they're presented is misleading. It's meant to push a narrative that doesn't match reality, and make this year's All-Star game look like a massive win when it clearly wasn't.
This is historic. Like, they were like, scored historic viewership. How is it historic when it's like half of last year? Last year was nearly 4 million. How is it historic when it's like half of last year?
This is where ESPN really slipped up. Instead of easing the backlash, their spin made it worse. It backfired completely. They triggered the Streisand effect by trying to bury the real story. They ended up shining a spotlight on it. Everyone noticed the switch to 2023 in the comparison, and called it out immediately. What was supposed to soften the blow only made the spin more obvious.